Interesting stuff from Lionel Messi on his Instagram account, coming out and saying this. We want to clarify that our desire has always been for a reduction to be applied to our salaries because we understand that this is an exceptional situation and we are the first that have always helped the club with what they have asked of us. It surprises us that from inside the club there would be people that want to put us under a magnifying glass or to try to pressure us into something that we were always clear we wanted to do. For our part, the moment has arrived to announce that aside from the 70% wage cut during the state of emergency, we're going to also make contributions so that all the club's employees can earn 100% of their salaries for as long as this situation lasts. Sid, this is another big shot, isn't it, from Lionel Messi against the Barca board?
Yeah, absolutely it is. And it's very difficult not to imagine Leo Messi lining up for a free kick and absolutely smashing it into the top of the net. Only instead of the ball, it's Bartomeu that he's booted. Because he really has. He's beaten him again. He's beaten him again in terms of the public perception. I think he's beaten him again in terms of taking the right decisions at the right time, in terms of revealing yet again the extremely broken relationship there is between boardroom and dressing room. I think he's demonstrated again that the players believe that the board are not handling things well, that the players are being left in a position that exposes them unfairly, that they've effectively been blamed for situations and problems that are not of their making. Well, the important thing about this really is that the players had said from the start that they were prepared to listen, that Barcelona were trying to put proposals into place, and then of course what happened was there wasn't an agreement reached. Now, what happened after that is very significant. There wasn't an agreement reached. Some of those stories were filtered into the media, which has clearly annoyed the players. You look at the wording of Messi's statement today. But of course what then happened was that Barcelona as a club announced that they were going to apply for what's known as an ERTE. Now, an ERTE in Spain allows clubs, in fact allows all companies, to unilaterally impose these kind of pay cuts on their staff, in this case on their players, in the event of a crisis or an objectively difficult situation. So what Barcelona have done is they've said this is what we're going to do. Now, of course, that's a unilateral measure, and they said it was going to apply to all sporting staff but also to non-sporting staff. So the players were made to look like, right, we're going to impose this on them. Why? Because they lack the solidarity, they lack the care, they lack the consideration for the rest of the club, and they weren't prepared to make an effort to help the club survive. What the players have done with this is come out and say, not only will we accept this 70% pay cut, not only will we do everything that we can to help the club out, as we have always done, but by the way, we're going to see your 70% and we're going to add on top of that our own contributions to make sure that those staff who you said you were going to apply pay cuts to no longer have those pay cuts. In other words, this first team squad is effectively going to pay the wages of the more than 1,000 people who work for Barcelona.
Am I just being naive? Aren't Barca really rich?
Well, I mean, I must admit, Dan, and this is very simplistic, but it does kind of stick in the throat a little bit that you take the front page of the Catalan papers today, in fact, both of them, both Sport and Mundo Deportivo, which are the two sports dailies dedicated largely to Barcelona, and you have this juxtaposition of two stories. One story is, of course, to do with the transfer window, and the other story is to do with trying to cut salaries because they desperately need to. Well, you can't have it both ways. And actually, one of the things that people perhaps haven't appreciated is that one of the reasons why the players do not entirely trust the club on this, one of the things that they are saying to the club is, well, hang on, if you're going to reduce our salaries and then in the summer suddenly there'll be €100 million bid for someone, well, this doesn't quite fit. This doesn't quite sit right. And so, yeah, of course that jars. It doesn't, it's not something that's easy to swallow. But at the same time, in response to your specific question, which is, are Barcelona rich? No, they're not. Their economic situation is really, really bad. And it's really bad even pre-coronavirus crisis. So that's the reason why they, and let's not forget this, are the very first, but not the only Spanish club to have done this.
Guys, the reality is, if you actually look at the numbers, yes, we're going to take a hit. The absolute worst case scenario, and this means not playing a single minute of any game, not behind closed doors, nothing. It means all the TV companies demanding all their money back, saying, you've played 75% of the season, so we're only going to pay you 75%, now give us our money back. It means sponsors saying, oh, well, then, we want money back as well because all of a sudden, we're not getting the exposure, right? That is the absolute worst case scenario. You're talking about a 25% hit on the budget for the whole season. But I want to see all the numbers, and I want everything to be very, very clear, because I don't want to have a situation where players are taking pay cuts not to help staff, but to go and help owners so they don't put money in their pocket. Or
Exactly,
in the case of, or so that agents can go and do deals in the summer, which, you know, which benefit certain people.
I do not buy the argument that a TV company immediately says, right, unilaterally, you give this back.
Exactly.
End of story. That will be challenged. It may well become a legal case. And also, by the way, those TV companies, they need the football clubs. They need the leagues. They want that deal next season. So it's never as simple as saying, I want 25% of my money back. Yeah. Because if those TV companies play really hardball, what are football clubs going to do? They're going to do what they're already planning to do in the not too distant future anyway. So, okay, then you don't get my rights. I stream my rights on Spurs.com or on RealMadrid.com or on Barca.com, and I do it, and I produce it, and I make the money, and you have no business at all. There is no interest for TV companies now to unilaterally go in really, really hard on the football clubs.
News of more turmoil. In just the last 24 hours, 6 board members have resigned.
In part, this could be seen as a victory for Josep Maria Bartomeu, the president, except, of course, that while he had tried to force 4 of these 6 to walk away, he wasn't expecting the other 2, and it never looks good for a president when 6 board members walk off, not least, of course, because this is a recurring theme. Of the board of directors that Bartomeu put in place in 2015, more than half of them have gone, 7 vice presidents have left, and one of the 2 vice presidents to leave this time around, Emilia Rochard, is the man that, in theory at least, Bartomeu was lining up to succeed him. So even the person that he thought he could rely on the most, the person that he thought was going to be his successor, he's gone now as well.